Hello, everyone. Welcome in to another live show of Golden Blue Dude. Golden Blue Dude is not feeling well today, and so told him that I would do a live show real quick. We're going to do a little pick'em show. So we're just going to tell you who we think are going to win the games tomorrow. And I brought us in some special guests. We have Mountaineer Paul. What's going on, Mountaineer Paul?
What's up? What's up? Ready to pick some games?
Yeah, good deal. We also have Will, our resident Notre Dame fan. What's going on, Will?
What's going on, Joey? Thanks for having me on, buddy. Excited to pick some games with Paul and Jeff.
Yeah. And we
What's up, Will?
have Jeff, Mr. Tide Guy. What's going on?
Tide guy.
How we doing? I'm trying to watch Navy keep SMU out of the end zone, but it isn't working.
Well, we're going to go over. So everybody get to watch the Baylor West Virginia game last night. I'd like to get everybody's thoughts on that real quick before we go any further. Now, I'll give you my thought. My thought is the first half of that game, I thought we're getting killed. We don't have a chance in this game. I thought they were pushing us around, and then they jumped out to a 17-7 lead. And I thought, okay, this game's going to get out of hand. We better do something. Sure enough, we turned it around and came back in it before the half. But, I was really worried for the first half. In the second half, we made some great adjustments and came out and played pretty good. Now, Paul, what did you think of that game?
Well, offensive line. I thought the Mountaineers' offensive line really played well yesterday. Coming into that game, the Baylor defense was ranked number 1 in the conference, top 15 in the country. Every NFL guy will tell you that Eco is probably a top 10, top 15 pick at nose tackle for the Bears. And Zach Frazier absolutely handled him last night. Really proud of Zach Frazier and how he played. Sources that Travis Kenobi had, all telling us that Neil Brown was fighting for his job last night. So coming into that game, he knew it, I'm sure. But we're just really glad that we won the game, man. It was nice to get the monkey off our back, especially after how we played during Texas week. And a great turnaround game for the program and for the Neil Brown regime, probably the biggest win for Neil Brown.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest win of his short tenure so far. That guy, what did you think, man? Did you get to watch it?
Well, I think what was nice is, not really for you guys, but West Virginia didn't play good in the first half. And last night was the first time Neil Brown actually got him in halftime and actually made the right adjustments. I mean, that's what kind of hurt you guys against Pitt. It hurt you guys against Kansas. Kansas, you guys were strolling along. You didn't make the adjustments at halftime. I don't think you made the adjustments at halftime in the Pitt game. But last night it showed that Neil Brown is capable of, making adjustments at halftime and changing the way the game is going. I personally, I don't think Neil Brown should get fired. I would hate to think that they fire him, because my question is, so you pay him, even after this year, you're going to owe him $16 million. And I heard a guy on one of my SEC channels is a West Virginia fan, and they said, oh, well, they'll talk that down. No, you're not going to talk that down. I mean, that's $16 million. You're going to pay it over time. But does West Virginia really want to pay him $16 million? And then you fire him. Who are you going to bring in? That's the question. Who's going to come in for the price that West Virginia is willing to pay? And that's the problem, the price that West Virginia is willing to pay.
Travis Kenobi.
Back in 2000s, back in 2000s when we had Rich Rodriguez, we paid him really well. And, I wish that we could offer a comparable salary to that today, because he made close to $6 million a year in 2005, and
Right.
So if we paid that a comparable salary today, it'd be closer to $10 million, but we just don't do it. So I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, just looking over. So Travis Kenobi is a lawyer. He's also a West Virginia guy. He does shows with us and stuff like that. He actually looked at the contract for Neil Brown and saw that it was actually program friendly, and that at the end of the day, due to some of the clauses that were in it, that the university would actually only be paying right around $10.5 million if we were to fire Neil Brown. So I don't know all the ins and outs of that. This is a lawyer. That's what he does, I guess. So I don't know. I don't know why
All right,
the
well,
number is
keep
what it
this in
is.
mind, though. You owe him $16 million, and a lawyer tells you he can get it down to $10.5 million, right?
Right.
What's that lawyer charging the school to get that $5 million? You know what I mean? So you're really not saving a lot of money. All you're doing is you're going to pay a lawyer instead of paying the coach.
Right.
That's
honestly,
the problem.
that's
But I do believe that the university would pay more than $4 million for a coach that was worth it. Neil Brown had proved nothing coming into Morgantown. He had won at the Power 5 level, 11 wins. Troy, great job. But to me anyway, he's no Paul Christ. You know, he's nobody like that has won Big Ten championships, won at a high level. And if a guy like that was willing to come to Morgantown, the donors would fork the money out. Now, I don't think we're going to, go on par with the Nick Saban salary. Obviously, we can't afford that. But I do think we can get competitive pay.
But here's my question. And I mean, I understand West Virginia is a top 20 team historically, and I like West Virginia. But the problem is you've got Nebraska now looking for a coach. You got Wisconsin looking for a coach. You're going to have Auburn looking for a coach. You got Arizona State looking for a coach. I mean, those are 4 pretty decent teams on a regular basis. And then you got Georgia Tech and you got Colorado, which isn't as prestigious. But, I mean, how many coaches out there are there to replace a fired coach? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Will?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Did you get to watch the game, Will? Did you get to watch the game?
I did watch the game, and this is what I thought of it. JT Daniels is a clutch quarterback, man. Like he is, I'd say like might even be a top 20 quarterback in the country, and he's a lot better than what you guys had before in Jared Dagey. Like Jared Dagey, he was not a great college quarterback. I mean, I'm sure the guy tried his heart out, but he couldn't really make the big plays. And I'm just curious to see like how much better, like how much cooler would Neil Brown's seat be if he had JT Daniels last year and the year before. So just something I thought of while watching the game.
Yeah, that's true too. That's very true. Well, let's get into picking some games for tomorrow. And let's start off. We'll start off with the noon games. We have Penn State and Michigan. The line is Michigan is favored by 7. Over-under is 49 on this game. Mountaineer Paul, what do you think on Penn State and Michigan?
Yeah, give me that line one more time. I'm sorry.
7. The line is 7 in favor of Michigan, and it's over-under is 49. It's at Michigan too. So,
well, I'll tell you what. 2 really salty defenses in this game. I'm a really big fan of Michigan's defense and how it's played over the last 2 years. I'm also a big Blake Corum fan at running back, J.J. McCarthy at quarterback for the Wolverines. I think they cover the 7. I think Penn State's fool's gold. And maybe these are my Mountaineer roots coming out of me a little bit, not wanting to root for Penn State. But I truly believe it. And you know what? I don't trust Penn State's quarterback either. He's been there forever. He's not really done much of anything except lose big games. And I don't think tomorrow is going to be any different. I like the under, and I like Michigan to cover 7. I like them to cover 7.
yeah. Jeff, how about you? Penn State, Michigan.
I'm going to take the points. I'm going to take Penn State. I've watched Michigan quite a bit this year. Michigan is a good team. They struggled the last couple games against Maryland. They struggled against Indiana. I think they struggle a little bit against Penn State. Penn State's a much better team than those two. I'm not saying Penn State's going to win. I think Michigan wins, but I think it's going to be a field goal game. And like Paul, I would definitely take the under. I don't see anybody scoring more than 24 points in this game. So the best you're going to come is 24-23, which would be 47. I don't see him getting to 49.
Will, how about you, man? You're muted, Will.
To be losing.
Yep, he froze. He froze up on us.
Look
Yeah,
at that face.
I think
And
there he is. He's back.
Okay, am I good now? Am I good now?
You're good.
You're good
Okay.
now.
So I'm taking Michigan to cover, and this is because I feel like James Franklin has Brian Kelly-itis. His teams just fold on the road when they play another ranked team on the road. They just fold. And also, when you look at the quarterbacks, I think J.J. McCarthy, people aren't talking about how good this guy is playing. Like, I feel like he is definitely going to be an NFL quarterback in the future. And, I mean, I don't like rooting for Michigan. I can't root for Michigan. I will be rooting for Penn State. But in my heart – and also, Penn State, I mean, for the last couple of years, they just haven't been able to run the ball against good defenses. And I think that I'm not saying they'll be shut out of the end zone because I do think that Parker Washington's a good receiver, and I don't trust Sean Clifford, but I think he'll make a couple of good throws in there. But yeah, for me, I'm picking Michigan to cover, unfortunately.
No. Well, I'm actually taking Penn State in this game for a straight out upset. That's where I am.
Okay.
I'm taking Penn State to go out and upset Michigan. I'm not guaranteeing the lock on that game this week. That's not my guaranteed lock of the week. But I do think Penn State could upset them. All right, next game also at noon is Auburn at Ole Miss. Auburn at Ole Miss. The line is Ole Miss favored by 15.5, over under 55. And I don't know if that line, I think that line could be so much higher than 15.5. And the over under should probably be about 70. Mountain Dew Paul, what do you think, man? Oh, and by the way, everyone, so you can follow along with us. I'm on the ESPN app, and I'm just going straight from top to bottom right down through there for games, and it's telling me the lines and everything. Okay. Sorry, Mountain Dew.
You know, I'm keeping a close eye on this Ole Miss team this year because Jackson Dart, Michael Trigg, 2 USC transfers, could have been in Morgantown. You know, it was talked about. Jackson Dart and Graham Harrell, former associates at USC, and it was a chance that Jackson Dart could have landed in Morgantown. He has been absolutely lights out for Ole Miss this year. Really played at a high level, really caught on to that scheme. 15 is a big number in the SEC, but Brian Harsin, that regime's been under a lot of fire this year. The team is probably the least talented team that they've had maybe in their history. It's really bad there. I see Ole Miss cover. I think Ole Miss covers 15, even though it's a big number. They've been blown out this year before. It wouldn't be the first time.
That guy?
Yeah, I got Ole Miss blowing Auburn out. Now, deep down inside, I hope it's a close game. I hope it can be within a field goal. That way Harsin might be able to keep his job because, you know,
Yeah.
I'd hate to see a bad coach leave Auburn.
Yeah. Will, what are you thinking on that game?
I'm also taking the
Same.
Ole Miss to cover. And the thing that's really surprising me about Ole Miss this year, and that's what's really impressing me, is that they actually have a defense this year. They have some playmakers there on defense. And I don't think Jackson Dart is as good as Matt Corral, but I think this is the most well-rounded Ole Miss team that I've seen in my lifetime. Like, I don't think they can beat Bama, but who knows? They might give them the biggest run for their money this year. I mean, we'll see what Tennessee does. I know Tennessee has some players out, but...
Well, and think about this, Will. Also, with Ole Miss, you know, you think Lane Kiffin, you think chucking the ball all over the field.
Mm-hmm.
They have a running game. And that running game is really good. It's tops in the SEC. So, like you said, not only is Ole Miss now learned how to play defense,
Mm-hmm.
but they also learned how to run the ball and kind of control the clock a little bit. They're a dangerous team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, next game also a noon kickoff. And this is my upset loss of the week right here. Kansas at Oklahoma. Kansas, I was hoping they'd be 6-0 going into Oklahoma, but they lost last week, but put up a great game. You know, Kansas is 5-1. Oklahoma is 3-3. Oklahoma is 0-3 in the Big 12. Make it 0-4 after tomorrow. Kansas, a 9-point underdog in this game. OU is favored by 9. Over under 64. I'm sorry. Kansas is going to upset Oklahoma straight up. I'm taking Kansas to win it. Paul?
This is a stone cold lead pipe lock. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So
This is
let
my
me
lock.
ask you this. I haven't heard. Is Dylan Gabriel back at quarterback? Is that why the line is?
I don't
what
think it
is?
matters to me. I thought Bean
It
did a
does
really
to
good
me.
job for Kansas. I think Bean did a really good job for Kansas last week. After going out, he Bean, their backup, he looked just as strong.
No,
does-
Oklahoma's quarterback.
It does say that he's likely to play. I just looked it up.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's that line again? I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
9. The line on the game
Oklahoma
is
minus 9.
Yep.
Wow, that's a shocker. I'll take Kansas to cover. I think they cover that, but I don't think they beat Oklahoma. Not if Dylan Gabriel's a quarterback. They're a different team with Dylan Gabriel quarterback.
Oh yeah, well,
the team
sorry.
that smoked Nebraska they're still there.
I thought you were asking me about Kansas's quarterback, but now they've got a great quarterback.
Jason Bean's a good player. It really doesn't matter to me whoever plays quarterback for Kansas. It's the same system.
Yeah.
They're both mobile guys.
Yeah.
Jason Bean threw 3 second-half touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
Not much of a difference.
Really good. No. But, guy, what do you think on this game?
I'll tell you the problem, Paul. You said that, Oklahoma, they're the same guys there, with if they get Gabriel back. The problem is the same guys are there. They just quit this year. I mean, you look at the last 3 weeks, that team has quit. They didn't fight back against Texas at all. You look at them on the sideline. Anytime they were on the sideline, those guys wasn't into the game. I think Oklahoma's given up on the season. I really, truly do. I think at the end of the season, you're going to see a lot of the players get asked to go to the transfer portal. I think they're going to get rid of a lot of these players and just start over. I personally see Kansas winning outright.
Yeah.
It could happen, but their defense is so bad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, to me, Paul, I know they have good players, but is the Oklahoma defense really better than the Kansas defense? I mean, Oklahoma's defense just looks so bad the past 2 games.
It's a good way to look at it.
And I know that Dylan Gabriel's a good quarterback, but with the team also, I don't know. I feel like the team kind of just quit. I'm leaning Kansas outright. I think it could be a good game if Dylan Gabriel is there and plays 100%. But that Oklahoma defense, I mean, Kansas does have a great defense, but for me, they just look a little better. So I'm going Kansas outright. I think it will be – I kind of hope it's a good game because I feel bad for Dylan Gabriel in the situation that he's in because he was a good quarterback last year for Central Florida. And I don't think he's a Grant Wells. I think he's can be a good quarterback in the Power 5. So, yeah. But I think Kansas will win by 1 score and win outright.
So here's my thing about what you guys are trying to say, and I'm not disagreeing with you. But if Oklahoma has quit on Brent Venables, not even a quarter away through the season, maybe they need to rethink that hire. Because I think a coach, it's Oklahoma. Yeah, they had higher aspirations. But, man, he's known to be a motivator. That's like one of his calling cards. And if they quit on him a quarter of the way through the season, that really says a lot about that regime.
But you got to remember, though, these aren't his players. They didn't sign up for
fair point. That's a fair point.
For Lincoln Riley,
right.
And I will say one of the biggest problems with Oklahoma, and this doesn't make sense, is Venables is a defensive coach. And the biggest problem right now with Oklahoma, I mean, we can sit here and say the schemes are wrong or they're out of position. They're not tackling. And you don't get more basic in defense than tackling. And these guys are missing tackles.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
Agreed.
All right, let's go. And Kansas will expose that really bad. So pretty good. All right, so next game at noon on ABC is Iowa State at Texas. Texas is a 15.5-point favorite. Over-under on this game, it seems low to me, 48.5, and I guess they're figuring Texas will hold Iowa State to probably 17 points or something, maybe. I would take the over on this game if it was me at 48.5. I think that's low, but I think Texas wins this game pretty easy. 15.5-point favorite. I would take Texas in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, how about you?
I think Iowa State has the best defense in the conference. Unfortunately, they don't have an offense to match it. Will McDonald, one of the most underrated pass rushers in the country on that Iowa State front. I did a lot of research into them yesterday. Just looking, I have a top nose tackles. I've been on nose tackles this week and researching the nose tackles. The Big 12 has a really, really, really deep nose conference with nose tackles. Anyway, it'll be a good game tomorrow. Coburn is probably the best nose tackle in the country for Texas. I don't know about them covering 15 though. I'll take Iowa State to cover 15, Texas to win, and I'll also take the under because Iowa State has the worst offense in the conference.
Yeah,
I personally would take Texas to cover, and I see Texas scoring 35 in this game. So you're only asking me to have Iowa State score 14 to go to the over. So I would actually go over because I think Texas is going to score on them.
I don't even know if they've scored 14 this year. They have.
Yeah, no, not very often. No, that offense,
yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, that's the third best offense or the second best offense in Iowa after UNI. Northern Iowa is the best offense in Iowa right now.
Yeah. Will,
they are good on defense.
I gotta believe that like Texas's talent, along with Iowa State's bad offense. I mean, Hunter Deckers, he's not a terrible quarterback, but I just don't think he has the boys around him to really have any success this year. And Quinn Ewers, I was thinking like he could be at the beginning of the year. I was worried that he would be a Tate Martell, like this guy would be a complete bust, just because I heard that he was being pushed by Hudson Card. So
turns out Hudson Card was pretty good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Quinn Ewers, I don't know. He's just really impressing me. I think he'll put up a ton of points against Iowa State. Not because Iowa State has a bad defense, but their defense is gonna be out there so long because of how bad their offense has been. So I'm going for a horn. I'm going, unfortunately, no horns down, hook 'em this week. Texas to cover.
All right, next game. In the chat, appreciate all of y'all being here. Be sure and hit the thumbs up button so we can hit some algorithms and get some people in here. All right, so next game up at noon is Minnesota on the road at Illinois. Minnesota unranked at 4-1, 1-1 in the Big Ten. Illinois is ranked. Yeah, that's not my phone. Illinois is ranked at 24. But Minnesota's a 6.5-point favorite. The minute I seen that, I thought Minnesota would win this game, and I think by 6.5 is pretty. I'll take Minnesota to win it and cover.
It's easy.
Oh, how about you?
Easy because, the quarterback for Illinois, DeVito, the last I looked is going to be his he's got an ankle, so I don't know if he's going to play. Last I checked, it was up in the air. If DeVito's out, then I don't know because DeVito's a really, really good quarterback for Illinois. But so is Tanner Morgan in Minnesota. And, at one point this year, they had the number one offense in the country and the number one defense in the country. So they stop people from scoring and they score the ball. I think that, especially if DeVito doesn't play, I think this is way bigger than a 6.5-point spread. And I'll probably take the over as well. I like Minnesota that much.
Yeah.
I don't think the Illinois coaches or the Illinois quarterback is going to play. I don't think he will. That's why I have Minnesota. I would have had Minnesota as a blowout, but then I watched how Minnesota played against Purdue. So I think this game will be a little tighter. Right. I think what Bielema's building at Illinois is going to be good. I mean, he's a great coach, so he's really turning that program around. Unfortunately, I've said from the beginning of the year, this looks like Minnesota's division to win. And I know they just lost to Purdue, but I still believe this is kind of Minnesota's division to either win or lose. So I got Minnesota on it. And I don't think I would do the over on this one. Both of the defenses could shut the other team's offense out. So I think this will be a low-scoring game.
This is in Champaign, correct, Joey?
Yeah.
This game's in Champaign, yeah.
I really feel like that Brett Bielema could pull this game out. Now, I know Minnesota has a good offense, but, I don't know. Illinois' defense, they're always so stout. And, DeVito isn't, I don't know. I don't know if he's a game breaker just because of how much they pound the rock. This one's tough. I'm going to go Minnesota to win, but not cover. Just because I feel like Taylor Morgan's just having a great year, and so is Mo Ibrahim. But I really feel like this game, I don't know. I feel like they gave Minnesota too many points to cover. So I'm going to lean for Illinois to cover. But I'm not going to be surprised if Illinois wins just because Brett Bielema just knows how to win the Big Ten West. I mean, it's just so impressive what his track record is.
Well, and I wanted to also mention, that Illinois stopped Iowa's powerful offense last week. It's only 6 points, so.
Yeah. Illinois, their running back Brown, 151 carries for 879 yards and 4 touchdowns. And so, all right, game kicks off at 3:30 on the SEC network. Vanderbilt at Georgia. Georgia, just a slight favorite here, just a slight one. 38 points. Over-under is 57. Taking the 38, or you laying at 38?
Oh, man. It's a big number, especially in the SEC. These teams play each other every year. And Georgia's just looked uninspired the last couple of weeks. You'd have thought they would have put that – you'd have thought they'd have covered that against Missouri. If you'd have asked me last week if Georgia wins by 38 over Missouri, I'd probably take it. So it depends on which Georgia decides to show up. I'm gonna probably gonna eat these words, but I'll take Vandy to stay. I'll take Vandy to. I don't think they cover.
Oh,
I got Vandy. 38. Vandy will keep it within 38, and like you said, with the Missouri game a couple weeks ago, and then look at last week's game. They only scored 14 points in the first half against Auburn.
Yeah.
Now,
you're right. That was 2 weeks ago.
Vandy is a much better team than Auburn. Now, that Missouri defense that played Georgia was probably the best defense that Georgia has played, and that was probably the best defense that Missouri has played all year. So I do think Georgia scores, and I think Georgia's going to win by, 28 to 31 points, but I just don't see them covering the 38.
Will, how about you, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I want Vandy to do better than they have been. And I think Clark Lee, former Notre Dame defensive coordinator, they're definitely going in the right direction. But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Georgia will put in their scrubs in the second half, and they'll probably win by about 28. So, yeah, definitely don't think they're in any danger of upsetting Georgia. Yeah.
Arguably the game of the day. It's probably not even arguably. This is the game of the day. On CBS at 3:30, Alabama at Tennessee. Alabama a 9-point favorite. Over under is 66. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking the over.
That's right on.
In this game.
Yeah.
I don't think I would even pick this game, but I would take the over in this game. How about you, Paul? What are you thinking, man?
Well, do you have any updates for us, Jeff? Any at all?
Well, if you listen to Saban, Bryce Young is a game day decision. He'll decide at kickoff. If you paid attention to practice this week, yeah, he was on a pitch count, but Bryce Young took a lot of the first team reps. And everybody's seen how Milroe played last week. And if he was going to be your starting quarterback, you'd be having him get all the reps you could have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I will tell you, though, if you want two more updates, I forgot the kid's name, but Tennessee's best wide receiver is out. He will not play. And their safety was arrested Sunday for assault. So I don't think he's even going to be on the team.
Mm-mm-mm.
So that's two big players for Tennessee that.
Can't believe I hadn't heard about that. Wow. It would be the first time that you guys have buzzsawed a team that looked like it was on fire coming in, or you're going in to Knoxville. I can't really put a caveat because when you pick a game, you pick it. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that Bryce plays, and I'll take Bama to cover. I think you guys cover tomorrow. I think Tennessee's a really good football team. I think they may even win 11 games this year. But I just think that you guys are still the cream of the crop in the conference. And top to bottom, your roster is better than theirs is. Offensively, Tennessee is really good. But Hendon Hooker throws the best deep ball in the country. But still, I just think Alabama wins and covers, and I like the under too.
No,
On a
I
limb.
agree
I'm
with
out there
you
on a
on
limb
most
just a
of
little
it.
bit.
But I'll tell you the way I look at this game going is I'm going to give Tennessee credit. They got a great offense.
Yeah.
But they have a terrible defense. So Alabama's going to score. And I think Alabama's defense is going to get one or two more stops than what Tennessee's defense is going to get. But I see both teams scoring in the 30s. I don't think Alabama's going to shut Tennessee out from scoring at least 31 points. I think Alabama's going to score at least, 42 to 45 points. So I would definitely go with the over. And I do have Alabama covering tomorrow.
Think about it, though. 34 to 31 games still doesn't cover.
Yeah, but I got us scoring in the 40s. I got us in the 40s.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I do.
Well, of course
I got us.
Of course you do.
That's right. I got us with at least 42 to 45.
Will, how about you, man?
Now, what worries me about Bama being able to score that many points is because their wide receiver, I don't know what Holloman Wiggins is doing to Bama's wide receiver, but they clearly just don't look like the guys that they had last year. And that really worries me about Bama being – I mean, I know Tennessee's pass defense isn't good, and it's weakness against weakness, and usually talent wins out. But I just don't think that the coaching of the wide receivers is that good for Bama, and I really think that could cost them in this game, especially if Bryce Young isn't playing at his full potential.
Right.
But I feel like Nick Saban just knows how to win these close games.
Mm-hmm.
And that might not be something that Josh Heupel knows how to do yet. So I'm going for Tennessee to cover. I think both quarterbacks will have a big game. I mean, if Hendon Hooker wins this game, he's the front runner for the Heisman, in my opinion. But I don't know. He could still win the Heisman if he plays well in this game.
I'll be honest. Even if he loses, I think he's still got to be top 3 right now, even in the Heisman. He's had a hell of a year.
Mm-hmm. I'll have Will Reichard kicking a field goal as time expires for Bama to win this game. I think it'll be a close Bama win.
Will, did you see?
I think what's good.
Missed 2 of them last week.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. That's why I said it. That's why redemption. That's why.
Don't give me that heart attack at the end needing a field goal.
Yeah.
My thing is, where's Jermaine Burton been?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? One of the best deep.
The problem is, Burton isn't the deep guy. Burton is more of the slot receiver. And like Will said, our receivers haven't been playing well. But last week against Texas A&M was the first week JoJo Earl, our speed receiver, came back. And he wasn't 100% plus. Let's be honest, Milroe wasn't going to get him the ball deep.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know that he's going to outrun the Tennessee defense. but at least we do have him back this week at 100%. But like Will said, you look the last three NFL drafts, we had 2 receivers drafted in the first round, and 2 and 3 years ago, we had 2 receivers drafted in the top 15. So, I mean, we've had 6 receivers, who are now playing in the NFL on Sunday get drafted.
Right. You're going to have a drop-off at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to replace them. And unfortunately,
Right.
our receivers this year, most of them are freshmen. Yeah, we don't have the seniors coming back, Now, did we lose Joey?
We did, unfortunately, lose Joey. Do you guys know what game we were going to talk about next?
Here's another big game. I think this is actually going to be one of the best games tomorrow. What do you guys think about number 15 North Carolina State going into number 18 Syracuse? Syracuse is a 3.5-point favorite.
Goodness gracious. Syracuse is a 3.5-point favorite, huh?
Yep, at home against North Carolina State.
Sorry, guys, I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden went out.
Oh, not a problem. I didn't know you were coming back, so I just threw another game in there to talk about until you got here.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden threw me out.
I don't know. I know Syracuse has a good quarterback and a good run game, but watching them play, they've snuck by some bad ACC teams. Like, only beating Virginia by 1 score is borderline embarrassing, the way that they've looked this year. I think NC State can win this game by 2 or 3 scores. I know they didn't play well against Florida State, but I think they'll turn up in this week, just especially with the talent disparity.
They did beat Purdue, so that's a good win they have. Garrett Schrader is a good player. Sean Tucker, one of the most underrated backs in the country for Syracuse. My heart wants to go with Gibby, and that NC State defense. Tony Gibson, a West Virginia guy, runs that 3-3-5 stack defense. Devin Leary hasn't been what we thought he was going to be this year. He had some moments against Clemson.
He looked like he regressed.
I like Syracuse. He does look like he regressed, and he also lost one of the best receivers in program history last year. But still, good players are good players. Obviously, JT doesn't – no matter what he will tell you, he doesn't have the talent from Georgia to West Virginia, and he still kept going. So I don't think Neil – in that line of thought, I don't think Devin Leary's lost what JT Daniels has, right? You know what I mean? You go from Georgia to West Virginia, pretty similar, or not a similar drop off. But I like Syracuse in this. I do. I can't pick NC State the way Leary's been playing, but my heart will be there with Gibby.
Well, I picked North Carolina State. I hope Syracuse beats them, but I got North Carolina State covering.
I do too. I just think that NC State will cover this game. Syracuse being a 3.5-point favorite, I think. Syracuse is a good team. Don't get me wrong. But I think they're going to face a setback this week. I think NC State's going to be too much for Syracuse. Has everybody picked now?
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, we were
All
on the Oklahoma State game, I think, when you got off here, Joey.
Oklahoma State TCU. So let's see, Oklahoma State TCU. It's at Fort Worth. So at TCU, TCU's favored by 4 over Oklahoma State. I don't get that. I don't understand that line at all. I think Oklahoma State's a much better team than TCU. So I know it's at Fort Worth, but I'm just going to have to go with Oklahoma State in this game. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I think TCU's fool's gold. I've watched Max Duggan for 3 years now. And yes, he is playing really good football, but show me the defense that they play that's anywhere near the level of Oklahoma State. So I think Oklahoma State's going to expose TCU tomorrow. I think Oklahoma State has they're obviously the most consistent program in our conference. They have one of the better proven winners in our conference at quarterback at Sanders. And I just think that they know at this point how to win football games. Mike Gundy is obviously one of the most consistent coaches in America. He's settled in at Oklahoma State. He's got the kind of players he wants in his system at almost every position. And TCU is not there yet. So for them to be favored, I will give Sonny Dykes credit for what he's done with them in a short amount of time. I think he's going to be good there, especially shifting them from a more defensive-oriented program to an offensive-oriented program. But don't trust Max Duggan against a good defense. Give me Sanders. Give me Oklahoma State. They'll cover.
But let's also face it and say
they're going to win outright.
Sonny Dykes didn't take over a garbage program either. You know, Gary Patterson has some good recruits in there. So, Ty Guy, what do you think, man?
I actually think this game here will come down to probably who's going to play in the Big 12 championship. I think, you know, whoever wins this has to be the favorite, you know, to have a shot at least making one of the two. I think Oklahoma State knows that. I also think Oklahoma State knows that they're playing Texas next week. So they really need this game because the Texas game is going to be tough. So, you know, they can't afford to lose back-to-back weeks. So I think they're all in on this game, and I think Oklahoma State covers.
Will said you're all in on Oklahoma State, huh?
I don't know. I really like what Sonny Dykes is building at TCU. I just read a good article about him on The Athletic today while I was at lunch break at my internship. But I feel like they just haven't faced any sort of defense this year. And I think that
Max has a defense.
Yeah, so I feel like I have to go Oklahoma State outright. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I don't really have a choice.
Oh, and I agree.
And I'll tell you what.
TCU is a great team. You know, I really do. But like you said, they haven't played the caliber of teams that Oklahoma State, you know, that kind of defense they have. And I really do think if TCU will happen to win tomorrow, then that puts them one up on making the Big 12 championship. You know, I really think this game here will kind of tell you who's top one or two in the Big 12.
Right. And I'll tell you what. Oh, sorry.
I would love to give it to D4 if they beat Texas and Gary Patterson. I think that would be a very fun moment.
And, you know,
then
Oklahoma State. Go ahead, Joey.
Oh, no, go ahead. It's fine.
I was looking for – looking at Oklahoma State's schedule the rest of the way out, they've got Kansas State on the road. They go to Kansas. They got Iowa State at home. They go to Oklahoma, and then obviously they come to Morgantown. Not the toughest schedule. The toughest portion of their schedule will be behind them after this week. They've got Kansas State, but other than that, you're talking about a team that could have an inside playoff track if they win tomorrow. I mean, they've got the schedule remaining to stay in that race. Two more ranked teams. The Big 12 is, got 5-6 ranked teams at this point. So it's not going to be a strength of schedule issue this year.
Right. All right. And a game kicking off at 4:00 on ESPN Plus. A game that I probably know very little about. Number 25, James Madison, going on the road to play Georgia Southern. Now, I'm going to this. James Madison's a lot better team than Georgia Southern, so I'm just going to take them to win. But the line on the game is 12.5. So now that's where I don't know. I don't know about that line. That's 12.5.
By every metric you can use, at least the last I looked last week, James Madison has the number one defense in the country. And they have been dogs on defense this year. For a program that we just played a couple years ago and blew completely out of the water in Morgantown, I'm really impressed with what James Madison's been able to do. They've got a Power 5 guy at quarterback. I can't remember his name. Sorry about that. I didn't research James Madison this week. But I do believe Georgia Southern is a program that You know, they're always hovering around 6 to 8 wins, but I don't think they beat James Madison. So I'll pick James Madison to cover.
I will take Georgia Southern. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I think they cover. I think Clay Helton will make sure
Georgia
that
Southern.
they cover. Georgia Southern did come really close to beating Nebraska this year, and I mean, I know that in the beginning
They won the game. They won.
Oh yeah, no, they did. They won the game. So, and I know that's not a huge feat because Nebraska was such garbage in the beginning, but that's still an accomplishment. I would like to see James Madison win because I'd like to see them go undefeated. And I think if they win this game and the closer they get to being undefeated, I don't know if you guys know this, but they just moved up to FBS.
Yeah.
So they're not supposed to play in any bowls or championships for 2 years, but they're appealing that, and they're supposed to have a hearing next month. Now, they're wanting to drop it from 2 years to 1 year, so it won't help them this year. But I think if they can stay undefeated or, play really close, that'll help them get, the 2-year ban lifted.
Yeah, we just played them and they were not an FBS team a couple years ago. Obviously, that's been a big story around them this year, how they moved up to FBS. But I mean, just a couple. They were. It was Neil Brown's first game. They were. I think they were ranked second in the FCS or third when we played them. They were consistently a powerhouse.
Oh, yeah. They're always in the playoffs. They were.
If anybody, you would think North Dakota State, but I don't think they want to move up. They could have by now.
No, they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Probably financials.
Will, what is your thoughts on that game?
Well, as I also go to school. I go to school at Virginia Commonwealth, and we do have a club sports rivalry with JMU as my team. We did beat JMU for the first time in like 5 or 6 years in my club ultimate frisbee, and it was very satisfying as they were flipping us off as they were leaving. Their players were. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was listening into a Big Ten radio show, and as they were just ripping Nebraska for losing that game to Georgia Southern. And they're saying that Georgia Southern's quarterback wasn't even a great group of 5 quarterback before he transferred to Georgia Southern. So I don't know that much, but by that metric, I feel like JMU's defense will just shut him down, and I feel like they'll cover.
All right. 7:30 on ABC. Another big game. Clemson going on the road, undefeated 6-0, going to Tallahassee to take on Florida State. And after last week's, now let's see, Clemson's 5-point favorite. After last week's game and Mike Norvell and that crazy call, if they could have beat NC State, if they could have went on the road and beat NC State, Florida State could have, I would probably pick them to upset Clemson. But with that coaching call like it was, I can't trust Mike Norvell. So I have to just take Clemson in this game and just lay the 5 points. I mean, I think Clemson will beat them. How about you, Paul?
I think it's going to be a pretty close game. I think Florida State covers. I'll take Clemson to win on their last second field goal.
I got Clemson covering pretty easy. But in my heart, I'm going for the Seminoles. I want Florida State to win. I want Florida State to win, not because I don't like Clemson. I would love to see Clemson in the playoffs. I like to see Dabo do well. But Florida State has been bad so long. I want them back. I want them, competing at a high level. And they almost proved it last week. Like Joey said, a stupid play call cost them that game. So I would like to see them win this game so that way people can see that Florida State, is back.
Also, the stupid play call to not just kneel it down against LSU. I don't trust Mike Norvell. We need to have someone else making those in-game decisions for Florida State.
You don't want to pitch it on the end zone?
I feel like Clemson this season, they're just getting better every week, sort of like Notre Dame. We're in a collision course with Clemson. Both teams keep getting better every week. I feel like Clemson could just beat them big. I don't know. I have a feeling that Clemson really wants to make a statement because I don't think they feel like they're getting respected because they're playing in the ACC, and the ACC down. They're like Pac-12 level down if
Yeah.
Clemson wasn't in it. So I feel like Clemson wants to make a statement. I feel like they'll win big in Tallahassee this week.
All right. Now, 7:30 on the SEC Network. Have Mississippi going on the road to Kroger Field in Lexington to take on Kentucky. Mississippi State's a 4-point favorite. I don't agree with that. I think Kentucky will beat Mississippi State. I know that Kentucky got upset there, but I just think that I think if you're going to play at Kroger Field, I think Kentucky's got to take a win here, and I'm going to pull for them. So I'm going to take Kentucky straight out to upset Mississippi State.
Yeah, we couldn't be in more different camps on this one. I think Mississippi State's one of the hottest teams in the country. Will Rogers is lighting it up in that Mike Leach system. No Will Levis. It's going to be.
Will Levis
be tough.
Will Levis will be playing this week.
He will be playing. Okay, that does change things a little bit. But Mississippi State's still one of the hottest teams in the country. Mike Leach once again proving he can win big anywhere he goes. So I'm going to take Mississippi State, and I'm going to take Mississippi State big.
If you had asked me 2 weeks ago, if 2 weeks ago I would have took Kentucky, I really would have. This week I'm taking Mississippi State. The one thing about Mississippi State, Leach, I hate him because, when he's good, and I think he's got a team now. So, I hate playing against Mike Leach because you never know what you're going to – he comes up with some crazy things and, he'll go for it on fourth down when nobody else would go for it. And I just think Mississippi State right now is on a roll. And the best thing for me is – Mississippi State comes to Alabama this year. We don't have to go to Starksville because I do think I was wrong in the beginning of the year. I said that Arkansas would probably be the second best team in the West. I truly believe right now it's Mississippi State. So that's why I have Mississippi State beating Kentucky.
I also have to go with the cowbell. The thing is, though, Mike Leach, they never really have a running game, his teams. This year they do, and that makes them scary. That makes their offense extremely scary. I do think that Will Levis will put up yards, and I think they have a chance to cut River in, I don't know, I don't think they'll win. Some chance to win. But with Will Rogers and with the running game, that offense is terrifying for any team.
And the defense.
Mm-hmm. Why couldn't they have beaten LSU? If they would have beaten LSU, I would be full on, let's go Mississippi State. But they blew it in Baton Rouge. Just sours it for me a bit. But I do think that they'll win this game.
All right, so the final game, top 25, is 8 o'clock on Fox. USC at Utah. I was really high on Utah. I really was.
What's that
and
spread?
I figured that they was going to blow UCLA out of the water, and they just really look like a different team to me. So I just think USC handles this game pretty easy. Utah is a 3.5-point favorite. Utah's number 20 in the nation. USC's number 7. Utah 3.5-point favorite. Give me USC all day long.
I'm shocked that that's Utah's -3 in this game. I know they're at home, and I know that's a tough place to play. I'm surprised the money didn't pour in on USC this week. But anyway, Utah -3 at home. Give me USC. That's an easy one for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got USC winning this game. Utah, yeah, they're better at home, but they haven't been good on the road, so being better at home ain't going to help them that much more.
Right. They go to the Swamp first game of the year and lay an egg.
Yeah, so going into the season, I thought Utah was going to be a lot better than, what I've seen. The thing with USC, and everybody talks about, look at that offense. The thing that impresses me is their defense. They're actually playing defense. And everybody says, Riley, he don't play defense, but that defense is probably as much improved as the offense. So I just think with, USC's offense, USC's defense, I have USC winning this probably by 7 to 10 points.
I'm gonna have to be the contrarian here, mainly because I don't like USC, especially with
Wonder
how
why.
much, especially with how much Tim and Rick, especially those two guys, have been talking it up. Easy win in Salt Lake City. Rice Eccles is a tough place to play, and I feel like it's the Kinnick Stadium of the Pac-12, except they actually have an offense there.
Yep.
And I feel like the Pac-12 champ, whether it's been Oregon, Washington, they've had a puzzling loss on the road to a decent team. And I feel like this will be USC's puzzling loss this year. I'm going with Utah to win. Maybe, I don't know. 3.5 is such a low number. I'll have them cover the 3.5 as well.
I want to
So
go back and talk about one game here for a second, just for a second here. I want to go back and mention something. How far have we come along in college football when all of a sudden, Texas is getting big point favorites, when Alabama's only favored by 9 in Knoxville? And could you imagine 2 years ago, Alabama and Knoxville, what that line was on that game?
Oh, yeah.
So, it's good to
it'd
see
be like the Vanderbilt line.
some of these bigger programs coming back into the forefront, like Tennessee and Texas. I like seeing that. So
Well,
I
you
think
also
it's
got
good
Florida
for
State coming back. You got USC's
Right.
coming back.
Ole Miss.
Nebraska hopefully turns it around. Oklahoma, maybe, next year Venables gets that. I've always said I would love to see football with the Blue Bloods and the dynasty teams. And I consider dynasty teams kind of like your Florida State, your Miamis,
Mm-hmm.
The teams who LSU, teams who
Notre
wasn't a
Dame.
blue blood, but over the last 20 years, could have been a blue blood. So,
Yeah.
I want our blue bloods back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. I really do. I want the Blue Bloods back, and like you say, the teams that were consistent for so many years, like West Virginia, they were real consistent from the 80s through the 2010s, 11s, 12s,
You
and then kind of
you
fell off
take
a little bit. But
you take the T. Martin National Championship away from Tennessee, and how much different are Morgantown and Knoxville as far as programs?
right.
But the
Right.
problem is Tennessee will say that they're a lot better because they had General Neyland and they won, championships way back then. But yeah, I mean,
We had
Tennessee,
General Neyland too.
Yeah.
the problem with Tennessee is, and I hear this all the time, they were really good when Alabama was really bad. But even though they were really good and we were really bad, we played in more SEC championship games than they did. So, I mean, Tennessee's one of those teams that most people don't think about them because they've been down for 16 years. But I like to see
They're very passionate.
They are a group that, they kind of remind me of the Packers. Because even when the Packers were bad, they sold out the stadium. And that's Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
They're proud of their team. 102, 104,000 people show up every week to Neyland Stadium, whether they're winning or losing. The only thing I don't like about Neyland Stadium is those mustard bottles.
Not only that, but you feel like you're on top of people. It's so steep inside there.
Yeah.
I kind of like.
Have you ever been
there?
there? Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been there, but I don't know. I like that. I like how the fans are just on the.
You know how long ago it was since I've been to Neyland Stadium? Jeremy Shockey was in the league when I went to Neyland Stadium.
Wow.
It's been a while. Been a while last time I was there. But I think that there was it was an attendance record though that when I went there it was against Marshall of all people, and there was like 111,000.
We've been exactly 1 hour into the broadcast, so let's call it a show. We got our pick'ems in. Sound like some good picks to me. We agreed on most of the games. All of us did. Now, I want everybody one more time though to tell us where we can find you at. And so, Will, why don't we start with you, man? Give us your last word and tell us where they can find you at.
Excited game. I'm glad we have another bye week. We're playing Stanford, so it's a bye week for Notre Dame this week. And I'm just gonna be glad I won't have to be stressed out like I was against BYU. I felt like I'm like, are we really gonna blow this game? But we didn't. So yeah, you can find me over at WillND. I'll go post my channel in the chat right after the stream ends because usually
All
people
right.
stay in the chat a little bit afterwards. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna try
I
to.
would post in the comments too if you can.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm gonna be. I'm gonna try to go live tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And yeah, should be another
Okay.
fun day of college football.
Let me know if you do. All
Mhm.
right, I got so everybody where to find you and about your new channel too. You got your regular channel and your new channel.
Yeah, I now have two channels. Tide Guy, I do videos Monday through Friday on football. And we will be doing some call-in shows here in the next couple weeks. I'll start getting some call-ins going. I did start this week another channel. It's called Trivia of the Tide. So if anybody likes sports trivia or regular trivia, subscribe over there. And every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do a sports Jeopardy. I'll have a panel of 8 people, and every week I'll pick somebody out of the audience to come in and play. And if the person I pick to come in and play can beat my panel, you'll get a prize that week. So hit me up, come on over, check it out. Like I said, it's a lot of fun because you're going to see Joey, you're going to see a lot of the people who are on this show doing the sports Jeopardy and doing sports trivia. So you can come over and laugh at them, asking them sports questions about like soccer and gymnastics, stuff like this that they don't know about. So you can come over and make fun of them a little bit.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is.
But thanks for having me, Joey.
Thanks for coming in. Mountaineer Paul, man, tell them about your channel, where to find you at, and what you got going good over there, man.
You can find me at Mountaineer Paul Talks Football.
I'm ecstatic about Mountaineer Paul. He is doing a great job over there on his channel, getting some great guests. And, I mean, and some of these interviews you're doing are just amazing to me, especially the doctor, talking about Tua's concussion and CJ Donaldson's concussion. That's great stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm not afraid to reach out for any guests. The way I look at it is they're no better than we are. Just because they're in a position of power or they may be a celebrity, doesn't matter to me. It doesn't, I'm not scared of them. I don't like to put them on a pedestal or anything like that. So I reach out to these people. They say yes. We schedule a date, and I bring them in, and I ask them hard questions, or at least try to. I try to ask them questions that I think you guys would want to know about. So the guy I had a guy in yesterday or the day before. He's the concussion doctor. He recently did a Tua Tagovailoa video where he got several 100,000 views, and I thought he'd be great to come in and talk about concussions on the West Virginia team. And we'd even talked about maybe talking about some concussions across the landscape of college football. And he had some interesting points to make. One of the things he said was the data shows that the helmet-to-helmet rules that they put in actually have not prevented concussions. And the question he proposed to me was, do we have a concussion problem or do we have a concussion treatment problem? Because concussions are going to happen. It's how do we deal with them after they happen? And that's what has to get better. And it was a really good conversation, and I encourage anybody to go over to Mountaineer Paul Talk Football and check me out, check out that interview along with other interviews that I've done.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming in. Guys, we appreciate everybody that's popped in and out of the chat. I've sat here and watched our numbers. We went up, we went down, we go all around. Golden Voodoo to be back tomorrow. He's going to live stream some games for you tomorrow. And then don't forget Sunday, we will have a show at right here on the channel. I'll do a show probably around 2:00. So be sure and tune in. All right. Appreciate everybody for being here. You all have a great night and happy football Saturday.
No Mountaineer.